Good evening, dear hearts, and welcome to another episode of the Innerdance Show. And supporting us in our return to sacred flow this evening is the phenomenal Iris Anna. Iris is a mother, mental health pharmacist, holistic therapist, innerdance facilitator, ritualist, and sacred sexuality coach. She's keen on promoting regular use of integrated therapies in mental health wards alongside allopathic medicine, and she believes in the power of authenticity and lives her life by embracing and encouraging diversity. I had the honour of training alongside Iris Anna in our first inner dance facilitator training. And so, having shared space with her and having been supported and facilitated by her, I know what loving, safe hands we are in this evening as we explore what she's passionate about. And so, Iris Anna, it is such an honour and a joy to have you here this evening. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, hi. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Caroline, for inviting me, and very, very honored to be here and to have you as a presence in my life and for my activities and for my service. So, thank you for inviting me, and thank you for listening to the next hour with
Yeah.
me.
Well, it's certainly selfish on my part because I get to spend this time with you because we don't get to nearly have as many conversations as I would like. So I know that my bias and my passion is inner dance, and it's what I sort of live and breathe. And I don't know very much about you beyond the being an inner dance facilitator. And I see sometimes your posts on Facebook and the
Mhm.
expansion that has been happening for you lately. And I wondered if maybe you could just share with us, what it is that lights your fire and the sacred practices that you're involved in.
Okay, yes. It sometimes it is difficult for me to express with words um, what I actually do because certain things cannot be described, can only be felt.
Hmm.
Um, and so I will try my best to describe this fire that you beautifully said, and the fire that has been there, well, for the past, I would say, 25 years, when I started to develop interest for holistic treatments, for magic, and for what we do not see and do not touch. Um, as many, I have a history of trauma behind me, and I think has given me strength to look beyond, um, and to have the courage sometimes to experience things in a different way. My service started with Reiki by becoming a Reiki practitioner, well, 25 years ago. And then I progressed into magical circles and magical work. Um, 15 years ago, I channeled um, um, a big force, and I felt this fire in my heart about the path I call about sacred sexuality. Now, at the time, which is 15 years ago, the topic of sacred sexuality was not very developed as it is now. Now it is quite widespread and quite well known, at least within certain circles. But at the time, I had no one, and in fact, I felt, well, okay, am I delusional? Is this real? Um, but it was, and I started to meet people who were interested in the topic of sacred sexuality. Now, the way I started to develop it was within magical partners, and with people who were sharing the same journey. Um,
Um,
What is
Iris, I wondered, sorry to come in here. You know, I'm not very sure what sacred sexuality is. I have a sense of it. I have a felt sense of it, and I wondered if you could maybe explain to a novice like myself, and maybe some of us listeners, by what sacred sexuality means to you.
okay? So there are 2 points. So it is what is understood, what understood by sacred sexuality, generally speaking, and but
Hmm.
also what it is for me. So if we look at the bigger picture, sacred sexuality is about incorporating both the spiritual and the emotional element into the sexual experience. So, in a way, the sexual experience is not just a physical act, but it goes beyond the physical, involving the spiritual and the emotional element. And this is done in order to strengthen connection and the bond between two people. Now, for me, sacred sexuality starts within ourselves. And I strongly believe that we both have both a feminine and a masculine soul within ourselves.
Hmm.
Hence, sacred sexuality starts with us, within us, by meeting, emerging the two aspects of us. Once once we meet another person, in a way that becomes the meeting of four rather than the meeting of two. Um, and then the four merge within the sexual act. And what we say is, in order to bring um, a drop of gold to the altar of the gods, what do we mean by this expression? It means that the sexual act does not is not just intended for our pleasure, but it becomes something that breaks beyond and becomes something that we can offer. Um, as I said, it is a bit difficult for me to put this into words because it is an experience that must be felt. And when you do meet another person at that level,
Hmm.
you understand what that means inside your heart. It is an explosion that does touch the soul and beyond, but it starts within ourselves.
Wow. Well, I hear you saying that it's difficult to put into words, and yet I hear you speaking so eloquently and tenderly, and I'm loving the image of the four in unity, the sacred masculine and feminine, and the sort of sacred marriage within our own beings, our own bodies, then merging in a sacred marriage with someone else's masculine and feminine. And yeah, it sounds so. And something about a portal. The word portal came to me when you were speaking. That it sounds transcendent, and that it brings deeper dimensions to to sex and sexuality.
That's beautiful, yes. The image of the portal is the most sacred and beautiful. Um, and yes, so thank you for mentioning it. It is enlightening. Um, it is an experience that, yes, it brings you on the other side via the portal, and we can have different portals. Some of them are physical within our bodies. Some of them are, uh, yeah, in different in a different dimension, different realities, or different states of consciousness.
Yes.
And we know very well that inner dance is one of those practices that can bring us to the beyond. And I've definitely experienced that during the training that we have shared. Um, yes, it,
So I'm curious about the sort of offerings then that or how you are in service to sacred sexuality, for someone who's maybe curious and would like to deepen their relationship with themselves and to really embody sacred sexuality. Tell me about that process.
Okay, the process starts in a way by a strong calling. Um, this path, this is something that you feel inside, and it is something that would definitely resonate with whoever is
Hmm.
listening or whoever. So it is something felt inside, and as I
Okay.
said, when I started, I had no knowledge that did exist, and I met someone in New York, and she was such a beacon, and she made me get, she made me think, oh yes, I'm not going mad. This is real, and so it's the same process. Is about speaking to someone who is already open to this kind of practices, um, and and as I said, it's not just about the physical act. It's about using the physical act to go beyond and to reach a deeper state of consciousness. Um, it is about alignment. It is about merging all the levels that make us um, beyond our physical body and all the extensions of our physical body within the energetical body, within the auric body.
Hmm.
All they come together in that very process. So there are exercises. Um, of course, if anyone is interested, please do get in touch with me. Maybe we can discuss about my website at the end. Uh, but um, there are exercises I could facilitate, and um, and it is such a deep bond that is created. Um, as I said, it must be felt, but from the on the practical side, there are some meditations, there are some exercises, there are some specific um, pathways. One of the
Hmm.
pathways I use, for instance, is one of the systems I use is esoteric Kabbalah, which is the Western esoteric tradition. And one of my exercises that is about creating pathways within this tree of life, which is the esoteric Kabbalah. So we would be walking certain pathways
Hmm.
between different archetypes of ourselves. So each um, exercise is designed, is tailored to the specific person and to this specific interaction, um, and not one is equal to another. Um, but yeah, it is done via meditation, via rituals, and via conscious touch, for instance, is very important part of my practice. Is about getting in touch at the physical level and feeling, starting to listen to our body as our body is touched in different ways, in different
Hmm.
parts. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. It it sounds like, just from what you're saying just there about touch, it sounds like you're supporting people to come into a very intimate relationship with themselves. And I imagine that this might be a pathway for restoration from trauma, where
yeah,
intimacy and sex doesn't feel safe.
yeah,
And that, yeah.
yes. Some of my of, of my guests and people I work with, um, they do have the majority trauma history at a degree that they have to learn again how to be touched. Um, so that would be the very, very first step. And there is a fear of physical interaction. Now, I have to specify that there is no sex as such. There is no penetration during my encounters,
Mm-hmm.
and because that is with partners, is not with me. But and this is why it's important to understand the sacred sexuality as merging of souls rather than physical
Yes.
acts.
Yes.
Um, but definitely, there is touch involved, and there is touch involved as it feels comfortable.
Yes.
But also, touch is involved when it does not feel comfortable, because that is again an opening. So everything is discussed beforehand, boundaries are fully discussed,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then we do agree how and when and if, and it becomes a gradual exploration or re-exploration of the physical body, facilitated by sound, massage, oils, pathways, rituals. So my session is not one service. My session is 3 hours of exploring different techniques and different ways of um, reconnecting with ourselves and then
Yeah.
with the other.
Yeah. So there's something about deepening the narrative about what sex and sexuality is. I guess what I'm hearing is through culture, through time, that it's actually become very narrow and very limited, perhaps, in that culturally it's perhaps regarded more as a physical act, and it has lost this sanctity that it and how it was revered and I was going to say used, that's not the right word, but I'm just imagining like back in ancient times when priestesses would work with sacred sexuality as a way to meet the gods, and but there was a recognition that there was a spiritual element, an essence to sex and sexuality. And I think I'm hearing that you're actually supporting people to return to those ways, those deeply old ways.
Yes, it is about returning to considering sex and sexuality part of our nature with no taboo,
Mm-hmm.
part of joy, the joy of life, the joy of giving. There is no creation without sex. Sex is the purest expression of creation. Um, and yes, society has made it become something, well, and religion and they've made it become something to feel about, being guilty about, and something that is dirty. Um, and it's about rediscovering sex and as it truly is, which is a beautiful act of creation. Um, and hence there is no taboo attached to it. It is joyful and is to be shared. Cannot be limited. Uh, it is part of our is a right in a way, um, to feel it, to give it um, the right meaning again. And yes, you are correct. In the ancient times, the priestesses, they did offer themselves as an act of as a holy act that was holy, was considered holy, and pure, and the most beautiful gift to bring to the altar of the gods. Uh, but then it became dirty. It was condemned, um, and yeah. Uh, yeah. So yes, I'm here on this path, and to bring it back. It's sacred component, which means holy.
Yes. How courageous of you. You're walking a forgotten path and trying to raise consciousness back to um, something so innate to us that has perhaps through the ages and through, as you say, religion and culture, and the more stressed and disconnected we are as humans and disconnected from the land, the more disconnected we are perhaps from sex.
Yes, and what you discuss about the disconnection is what has really, really moved me to embrace this path despite the misconceptions and judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And I work as a mental health pharmacist. I work in psychiatry wards, and is the disconnection. The disconnection is the main the main um, uh, the main feature I see as affecting the patients that we have in our wards. Yes, of course, they do have different diagnoses and different histories and different treatments, but it is this connection to humanity, to the human touch. Um, I and it is beautiful when I hug them. I am a pharmacist, so I am involved in medication and in medicated what needs to be medicated. Sometimes it's very acute and medications are needed. Um, but when our guests start to feel better and interact better, this is what they are seeking. They are seeking
Mm,
hug. They are seeking touch.
yes.
And as you know, I will start this project about introducing holistic treatments and conscious touch within psychiatry wards, uh, because that is needed. It is the disconnection that makes people become sometimes aggressive
Mm-hmm.
and anxious. I mean, it is widely demonstrated that touch deprivation since very young age
Mm-hmm.
um, is linked to increase in anxiety, increases in aggressiveness, especially during within adolescent pain. And there is a very recent study, which is very recent. Yeah, it is from 2024 this year, and it has been totally demonstrated that touch intervention has been effective in reducing anxiety, depression, fatigue, pain. So we are talking about something which is very physical as well,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, very beneficial. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking about how the skin is the largest organ of the body and how it's our nervous system externalized, and how when we are in trauma for whatever reason, and I feel that just by the state of our relationship with with climate and pollution, we cannot not be in trauma. We're feeling the trauma of the world in our bodies, and touch is deeply affected by that. And I'm also thinking about the what has been learned sadly in the hard ways, those poor babies in orphanages that have died through a lack of touch. And so there a global recognition now that it is fundamental to not only our emotional and psychological well-being, but to our physical well-being, that we, for our survival, we need to be touched and be in touch. And I remember reading a study a wee while back where um, researchers were exploring touch, and even just brushing against someone's arm on a bus, or on the subway will, increase your oxytocin levels in your body and decrease your cortisol. So,
Definitely.
there's definitely an absence of conscious, non-sexual or uh, non-transactional touch.
Yes, definitely, definitely. As you mentioned, it does increase oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone, the love hormone, and it makes us become more soft, more benevolent, and more, yeah, it puts us in a good mood in a way, more loving. So if we could develop more oxytocin in the
Mm,
world, I think that would be greatly, greatly appreciated and useful. And as you say, skin is the largest organ. It covers around 16-18% of the body, and it must be used.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's beautiful work that you're going to be introducing the practice of conscious touch into healing spaces where perhaps that has not been on the agenda before. I can't think of anyone better actually to do that. And the way you, like I say, the way you speak so passionately and tenderly of this work, I can, I can foresee how those even with trauma will feel safe, and that you will speak to their bodies in a way that they become curious and recognize the truth in what you're saying and want to know more.
Yes, and I will be very curious also to see if, for instance, use of benzodiazepine or hypnotics will be reduced, for instance. So this
Mm,
is something also
wow.
that could, yeah, that could be introduced in order to reduce medications consumption and addiction. Um,
Wow. And is
so
that
yes,
going to be part of your work? Will you be able to sort of research and sort of, yeah,
yes,
collect that data?
that would be ideal if that could also be audited
Mm,
and presented as a project. My most beautiful thought would be if we could have in psychiatric wards a holistic clinic running 24/7 as the rest of the services. Um, so this will be something that um, I will be starting, in my small time, a little time will be on a volunteer base to start with. But if there are results in terms of medicine reduction, so doses reduction and improved sleep, for instance,
mm-hmm,
then yeah, I might yeah look into expanding the project. But it might take some time. Um, at the moment is about starting little steps at a time, and this has not been the easiest of the things mm, so far, because I have to present a protocol to have my supervision done,
mm-hmm,
so to present a case, even to operate in terms of as a volunteer,
mm-hmm,
because ultimately I will be touching um, users, I will be touching uh, another person, and that involves a lot of safeguarding, as you can imagine. There are, yeah, there are some bit of paperwork and guaranteed,
sure.
I must guarantee that certain level of interactions or boundaries are going to be in place. So also choosing the right users, so who to prioritize in a way.
Mm-hmm,
So there is a lot of work involved,
yes.
but fingers crossed. Yes,
Yeah. Well, yeah, I hear how robust the process is, and in some ways that might be of benefit, so that when you are doing ongoing evaluation, that actually the red tape actually works in your favor.
yeah. So we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Well, I've no doubt it's going to go really well. It's what's needed for
Yeah,
sure.
I think it's about time that holistic treatments become part of allopathic treatments and medicine so they can actually complement each other in a practical way
Hmm.
and not just be for those who can afford a bit more money because let's get real, holistic treatments uh, can be expensive and shouldn't be. So yeah, fingers crossed. See what happens.
Yeah, really exciting times. It's brilliant. And you're at the forefront, you're trailblazing something which is, really new actually.
Yeah,
Well,
we'll
someone has
see.
to lead the way.
Well, we'll see. Are you going to help me? Yes.
Uh, In any way I can, I'll let you. I had an article published on working with touch in therapy sessions, so I'll send that to you. Maybe that'll be helpful.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yes. Watch this space. That would be a great pleasure.
So I'm aware of the time and we're just past the halfway mark, and I know that you had prepared a little practice for us, and I wonder if now feels like a good time for you.
Yes, yes, of course. It is what I call an active meditation because it's not just about listening, it's about um, living the meditation.
Beautiful. So just inviting any listeners to just either set their phones down or just creating a little space for themselves so that your hands are free so that you can really merge with these beautiful invitations that Iris Anna has for us. And over to you, my lovely.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me today in this sacred space and welcome to this meditation. Um, Please make sure you're sitting in a comfortable position with your feet firmly grounded on the floor and your hands free because you're going to use your hands. So, as we dive into this sacred space, just visualize the left side of your body as bathing in a brilliant green light, and the right side of your body is bathing in a warm red light. Now, from here, bring your eyes to the palm of your left hand. And as you look at the palm of your left hand, it starts to become a mirror. And in this mirror, you start to see the reflection of a wildly beautiful woman staring back at you. She is the reflection of your inner feminine. Look at her. Do you recognize this fire? Do you recognize this force? Her wild eyes are two brilliant stars, and her hair is flowing wildly, caressed by the wind. Her cheeks are flushed as they reflect her inner fire, the fire of the heart. Keep looking at her, at this beautiful image. You can see in her your intuition, your emotions, your creativity, your softness, your zest for life, your irrationality, your rawness, your sexual desire, your ancient knowledge. Look at her. Her red lips start to call your name softly, then louder. Then your name is screamed as she wants to be heard. And as she keeps screaming, she starts to gradually fade until she disappears. Now, gradually bring your eyes to the palm of your right hand. The palm becomes another mirror, and your male reflection appears. This is the reflection of your inner masculine. Look at him. Do you recognize this earthy, grounded form? This giver of inner strength, logic, reality check, order, stability. Look at his reassuring image. His deep, grounded eyes are staring back at your very own self, gifting your life with logic, predictability, stability, order, presence. Can you see in him the mind, the giver of form, the giver of will? Can you hear his silence? And as you keep looking, this image starts to fade until it disappears gradually in silence. Now take a deep breath, and it's all in your hands. Make your palms face each other. Are they going to meet and integrate? Or are they going to acknowledge each other but still keep space? Or are they going to turn away from each other in anger and resentment? Or are they going to find forgiveness? Or this decision is only yours to make. And as you contemplate, take another breath and take a few seconds before coming back. I will be ringing a bell.
Thank you so much, Irisana. That was really powerful. Just for listeners right now and in the future, just taking some gentle time to ease your way out of that blended state of consciousness and reground yourself back in this moment, just listening to our dulcet tones. I found that really, really powerful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, there's the bell. Sorry, I
Maybe
came
it's not
before the bell. I'm sorry.
Thank you for yeah, sharing this space. Um,
Yeah.
and this is something that can be recreated in your own time.
Yeah.
And yes,
Yeah. So for anyone who goes into that, how might you suggest that they take time to perhaps explore that a little bit further on their own, if they have an image or an insight that comes up?
yeah, it is. Um, yeah, it is in your hands.
Yeah.
It's all inside. It's not outside. It's all inside.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging a dual nature, and yeah, it's up to us what we do with that in our own time,
Mhm.
according to our own circumstances and events and life. And yeah, it's all in our hands.
Yeah. It's a really beautiful metaphor for that. Had some very clear imagery coming through. I think both my divine masculine and my divine feminine are warrior types.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And of course, um, yes, I mean, when we talk about inner feminine and inner masculine, there are some kind of stereotypes in a way, which belong to collective consciousness, for instance.
Yeah.
So, but it is always a very, very subjective, eh, way of experiencing a sacred masculine and sacred feminine. It is what speaks to us. It doesn't have to be in a certain way. A certain way does help to give some initial directions,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
it is a discovery.
Yeah.
Um, yes, I mean, I could carry on here and start to talk about sexual orientation, for instance, um, and the fact that, for instance, we identify as, for instance, me, if I identify as both a male and a female at the soul level, um, I am I am bisexual, for instance. That there is no difference whatsoever for me. Then, in terms of attraction, I could be attracted to a man or a woman. Doesn't matter because it is about the merging of the four. So it
Hmm.
doesn't matter my form. It is my force um, that um, attracts and yeah interacts with another soul. So this is just to say there are no, there's nothing is set in stones. Uh, it's up to us how we experience our dual nature and what we do with it in our daily life, ultimately.
Yes, yeah. What might you say to someone who is struggling with a traumatic past, but who's perhaps interested in exploring this further, but maybe feels a bit uncertain, or has their sort of patterns of survival which might keep them from jumping with both feet in? How might you work with them, or what advice might you give them?
So, Caroline, again, someone is struggling with the history of past trauma.
Hmm.
What advice? Okay, so of course, my advice would be to not to journey on their own. Um, there is help, and help can be shared and sought in different ways. Now, the way, my way is not the way. In a way, is
Mm.
one of many ways. So, um, my advice would be to seek some help, which could be friends' help. Doesn't need to be therapist help. Needs just friends' help, or um, expert help,
Hmm.
but to not to close themselves. Although it's easily said, but interacting is key. Um, Human are social animals. We are designed to uh, be with others, um, and trauma is one of those conditions that strongly disconnect us from this.
Yes.
Um, Hence, uh, the natural um, um, reaction is to isolate ourselves. And I do it myself. I'm not saying I don't. There are times when grief and pain become too much to bear, and um, cannot be shared. Just cannot be shared. Uh,
Hmm.
the invitation would be to still keep our hearts open, because help is there. Um, and by all means, if anyone is listening and would like to get in touch with me, you can find me on my website, which is emotionsinmotion.co.uk. I'm sure Caroline can address you if you feel called to my way of dealing with this. Um, but please, yeah, try and seek connection.
Hmm.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be key in my opinion. And as I'm saying, I see it in my words every day, because the moment there is a hug, there is a gentle touch, the moment there is that human, even eye connection, the story does change. And
Yeah.
I do experience this every single day. Uh, yeah,
Beautiful. Such sage advice to try to stay in connection, even when there is instinct driving the closing down and the disconnection. Something about creating new choices, new pathways.
yes, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. And you mentioned your website. Love the name of it. Um, and so through the website, what sort of things do you offer? Do you work online with people if someone wasn't geographically close to you, or are your offerings and future offerings in person?
Okay, so at the moment, just to, yeah, to be completely honest, at the moment I'm recovering from a back injury, so I'm not working in this moment in time. However, the website is out there. I will resume in the next 2 3 months. The website is out there with all the services I provide. They are in person services because, of course, the conscious touch and because of the Reiki um, and because of the exercises that we do, that I do about soul connection exercises. Some of it can be tried over on Zoom or online. I'm not saying no, but it's not something at the moment I am offering. Um, if anyone would like to try, yeah, we can discuss. Um, but for the time being, my experience has been is in person because of that energetic
Sure.
bond that is shared and created, which is the fuel for what I offer. Um, in terms of services, I do offer Reiki, I offer conscious touch, I do offer Tantra massage, Lingam and Yoni massage. Uh, I do offer rituals on the pathway of the tree of life, which is work with archetypes. Um, Now, when I say massage, it's not a massage as we know it. It is a soul massage.
Okay.
And all my services, they are not aimed to the physical body. They work through the physical body, but they are aimed to the soul. Um, I touch the body to touch the soul, and the connection is made through the body for the souls. So I hope it does explain when I say massage what I mean. But please feel free to browse. It's emotionsinmotion.co.uk. And if you do join a mailing list at the moment, there is a free gift playlist, a 60 minutes playlist. One of my favorite music pieces I use during my sessions. And
Amazing. That's really generous of you. How lovely to sign up
but
so I can have a listen.
yes,
And
there is much more to the sessions. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm so sorry to hear about your back and wishing you a really deep and gentle recovery with that. Um, and
Yes,
we're
thank you.
we're coming up to the end of the show, darling. And as I say every time, I'm a bookworm, so I use this as to gather more books for my bookcase. So, do you have any books that on any subject that you could recommend to us listeners? Just well, maybe one of your favorites or one you're reading or have read lately.
Okay, yes, I have two. Can I say two?
Of course, you can.
Well, the first one is a classic that I would recommend to everyone, not just to read once, but as a classic to keep for life, and it's Women Who Run with the Wolves
Hmm.
um, by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. It is it does speak to our inner wild woman, that raw energy that lives within ourselves,
Yeah,
and it is what they call the La Bear, which is she who knows. We are all her. We all know. It's about rediscovering that inner knowledge and inner force. And she does it via stories which speak to our subconsciousness. So it's beautiful. And the other one is a book on polyamory. I did discover polyamory 10 years ago because, uh, love is too beautiful and cannot be put in a box. Love is to be shared. And this book is called Polysecure. It's a classic in its own way within the um, within the community, polyamory community, and it's by Jessica Fern. Now, this book is extremely useful, not just for people open to polyamory, but for everyone, because it does explore at such in-depth level attachment theories,
Hmm.
which is something that is quite insightful and does help relationships, generally speaking. So yeah, just to
Awesome.
tell
Thank you.
collectively, yeah.
Well, I've got Clarissa on my bookshelf. She's well read, and she's one of those books that took me about, I don't know, I think I had her on my bookshelf for many years before I was ready to open it. And it's that kind of book where I don't read it from cover to cover, but I just feel called to a page or a chapter. It's more like an encyclopedia than just, I don't know if that's your experience of it as well, but it's never a book I've been able to sit down and read just in a linear way.
I see. Sorry, which book are you talking about?
Clarissa's book, Women Who Run with
Oh, the
the
Clarissa, Women Around with the World. Yeah, but it is quite a clever book because you
Oh,
don't have
very.
to read it. It's not in sequence. It's, the different stories and they speak to a part of you, each of them.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's beautiful.
she's an amazing storyteller, and I'll have to check out Polly Secure as well. So thank you for those
Yeah, you're
recommendations.
welcome.
And my darling, I can't believe it. We're coming to the end the last couple of minutes. This hour has flown by, and I just can really feel you in how you speak so articulately and with such reverence to sacred sexuality. You are such a phenomenal ambassador for this reclamation work that you are in service to, and it's just been a real joy to hear you and feel into the work that you do and how you recognize the soul within sexual union and the creative and somatic ways that you support people into connection and a restorative and transcendent experience with themselves so that they can meet the world in those ways too.
Thank you for your words and for having expressed so beautifully what you have expressed. It. Thank you so much. It was, yeah, so powerful to hear. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you very much.
Oh, no, thank you, my darling. Anyway, we're just coming to the end of the Inner Dance Show and thanking all of our listeners and future listeners. This has just been a really moving exploration, something that I know will stay with me and offers me time for reflection and curiosity and wanting to know more. So I will put up Iris Anna's website details later so that if you do feel called to know more, that um, you can investigate and check out her beautiful offerings. And yes, sweet lucid dreams to your hearts when they come. And hopefully you will tune in again with me next week. Much love. Bye bye.